What's going on?
A friend of ours is dead in his bedroom. We hadn't heard from him for a while. We think he's dead. His roommate just went in there and said there's lots of blood. I didn't go in, but I can give you the phone to someone who went in there.
Yes, please, can you?
Hello.
Hi, so what's going on?
He's dead. He's in his bedroom.
Okay.
In the shower.
Okay. How did this happen? Do you have any idea?
No, we have no idea. Everyone's been wondering about him for a few days.
She said that there was blood. So is it coming from his head? Did he cut his wrist?
It's all over the place.
Is there any weapons around?
No, I don't know. Not that I saw.
How many people are in the house?
How many are in the house right now? Just the 5 of us? 5 of us.
Okay, I need all of you outside.
Okay.
Hold on just a moment. Okay, you're a good friend of Travis's, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Has he been depressed at all? Thinking about committing suicide, anything like that?
I don't think he's been thinking he committed suicide. He's been really depressed because he broke up with this girl, and he was all upset about that. But I don't think he would actually kill himself over that.
Has he been threatened by anyone recently?
Yes, he has. Okay. He has an ex-girlfriend that's been bothering him and following him and slashing tires and things like that.
And do you know the ex-girlfriend's name?
Do you remember it? Yeah. What's his ex-girlfriend's name? Ask Taylor.
And do you know if he's ever reported it to the police?
Her name is Jodi. I don't know if he's ever reported. Hold on. Yeah. Ask Taylor if he's ever reported Jodi to the police, like if Travis did. No, he hasn't reported anything about Jodi's behavior.
Okay, and you guys left the roommate. When was the last time he saw Travis? Was it 3 days ago?
Zach. When was the last time you guys saw Zach? Travis. They want to know about the roommate.
Last time I saw him was, last Thursday or Friday?
The last time I remember seeing him was last Thursday. Okay. When was that time? Mimi saw him last Tuesday, or last Monday. She talked to him last Monday.
Okay. And everyone is out of the house. There's no one else in the house.
No, no one's in the house.
Okay.
I don't know, because none of us know what's going on.
And what is your name?
My name is Michelle. I need to ask a friend something. I'm giving the phone to me.
Okay.
Taylor.
Hi.
Hi.
She's friend business partner.
Okay. And this is the tub is in his bedroom?
Yeah, and I guess I didn't go in, but from what I heard, his roommate went in. There's blood in his bedroom behind the door, and then he said it's all over. And then they went in the bathroom, and he's in his shower.
Okay.
So
and his bedroom is where in the house?
It's upstairs, and as you go up the stairs, it's on the left. It's the first door on your left. It's the only door on your left.
Okay.
And it's just a big master suite bedroom up there. And she's talking to his friend right now. There's a girl that's been stalking him and things, and he's trying to. You might know some information. I hope my phone doesn't die. I'm on like 1 bar of battery.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to keep you on the phone until officers arrive, either officers or paramedics arrive, okay?
Okay, I think I can hear the sirens now.
In this episode, we will delve into the horrifying case of Travis Alexander, a young man whose life was taken from him at the hands of his deranged girlfriend almost 17 years ago. We will investigate the build-up to the last 24 hours of this sinister case, The final hours before Jodi Arias carried out the most brutal of murders, as well as the subsequent aftermath and eventual sentencing. What would drive someone to commit murder? What was the reason, and did Travis know he was in trouble before he was killed? Join us as we unravel the murder that shocked Arizona and the world and investigate the last 24 hours of Travis Alexander. Before we examine the events which transpired all those years ago, let us take a moment to break down the facts. Motive: Jodi Arias murdered Mr. Alexander out of jealous rage after learning of his desire to date another woman. Date of murder: June 4th, 2008. Date of arrest: July 15th, 2008. Cause of death: medical examiners ruled the cause of death as homicide, as injuries consisted of multiple stab wounds, a slit throat, and a gunshot wound to the head. Date of trial: January 2nd, 2013. Verdict: guilty, May 8th, 2013. Now that we know the facts, let us now turn our attention to those involved in this tragic case. Travis Victor Alexander, a salesman for the marketing company Prepaid Legal Services, was born on July 28, 1977 in Riverside, California. The soon-to-be victim had suffered loss at an early age after his father's passing, which resulted in Alexander and his siblings being taken into care by their paternal grandmother, Norma. The young Travis would go on to become a motivational speaker after being introduced to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints by his grandmother, something which was very close to his heart. Unfortunately for Alexander, in September of 2006, he would find himself in a relationship with Miss Jodi Arias, whom he'd met at a conference in Las Vegas for his legal firm. Born July 9th, 1980 in Salinas, California, Arias wasted little time in becoming extremely close to her new boyfriend, even going as far as to request that Alexander baptize her into the Latter-day Saint faith on November 26th, 2006. As of February 2nd, 2007, the young duo were officially recognized as a couple and were seemingly happy and looking forward to a life together. The relationship would not work out though, and as quickly as they became close, they split up June 29th, 2007, with Arias moving to Mesa, Arizona, until April 2008, where she ended up staying with her grandparents in Eureka, California. The unfortunate breakup would fester in Arias' mind, plaguing her emotions with jealous rage, especially once she learned that Travis was looking to move on with his life and date other people. On May 28, 2008, a .25 caliber gun, as well as other materials, were stolen from Arias' grandparents' home in an apparent burglary, something that lawyers argued was staged by the murderer herself and the gun used to kill her ex-boyfriend. After the robbery, events did indeed take a dramatic turn. Let us now look at the timeline that would ultimately lead to the sickening murder of the young salesman. First off, it is calculated that between June 2nd and June 7th, 2008, Jodi Arias travelled approximately 3,000 miles by car, something that would later help convince the jury and eventually convict her. June 2nd. It is noted that days before Aria made the road trip, she had contacted her ex-boyfriend, Daryl Brewer, on numerous occasions, asking to borrow 2 5-gallon gas cans for her journey towards Arizona. He provided them, but they were never returned. On the evening of June 2nd, Arias stopped at an Arco gas station in Pasadena, California, where she bought 8,301 gallons of gasoline with her debit MasterCard. 4 minutes later, she would purchase another 9.59 gallons using cash. June 3rd. Between 1 a.m. and 4:05 a.m., 7 calls were made between Arias and Travis Alexander, the longest clocking in at 41 minutes, the shortest just 17 seconds. A few hours later, at 8:04 a.m., Arias, sporting bleach blonde hair, rents a car in Redding, California, which was approximately 100 miles from her home. She requests a white-collared car, as it would stand out. At 10:10 a.m., Arias issues 3 deposits into various bank accounts in the city of Monterey, situated along the state's rugged central coast. She then makes 2 quick phone calls to Travis before moving on towards Pasadena, California. As the evening sets in, the soon-to-be murderer purchases some food at a local McDonald's restaurant around 7:30 p.m. in California. Afterwards, she hooks up with some friends and spends the night back in Monterey. Receipts presented as exhibits at the trial also show purchases of a third 5-gallon gas can, sunblock, and facial cleanser from Walmart in Salinas, California. June the 4th, the day of the murder. Jodi Arias has now travelled nearly 1,000 miles to Mesa, Arizona, and reaches Alexander's house around 4 a.m. After reuniting, the couple surprisingly go to bed together. A few hours later, things would turn violent. Statements from Arias claim that at 1 p.m. they woke up and had sex, taking explicit photographs of each other in the nude. Photographic evidence shows that at 5:22 p.m., Arias takes a total of 19 pictures of Alexander in the shower. At 5:30 p.m., the last ever picture of Alexander is taken, his face expressionless, almost surprised and concerned that he is being photographed. 2 minutes later, at 5:32 p.m., a picture is taken of Travis on the ground. He is bleeding profusely, and it appears to show Arias' leg and foot in the shot as well. Then, nothing. All is silent until 11 p.m, when Jodi Arias makes 3 short telephone calls to Alexander's phone, leaving a short and released voicemail. June the 5th. Having now fled the scene, Arias now arrives in Jordan, Utah at 10 a.m, approximately 700 miles north of Travis's home, where she meets up with another ex-boyfriend, Ryan Burns, at his home. Her blonde hair is now gone, replaced with her natural dark brown locks. Her hands are covered in bandages with visible cuts to her fingers. During a car journey with Burns, local police officer Michael Galati stops Arias' rental car due to a missing front license plate and the rear license plate being upside down. She tells Galati that a group of kids were responsible for the license plates, as they were playing a trick on her. The officer issues her with a warning, and the couple return to Burns' house, where they are seen kissing. Burns would later claim that he was unaware of the situation that had previously unfolded, though he was concerned at the fact that Arias was wearing bandages and a long-sleeved shirt, despite the weather being very hot that day. She told Burns various stories about how she received the cuts to her hands, including supposedly working at a restaurant called Margaritaville. It would later be revealed by Siskiyou County, California authorities that no such restaurant exists, nor ever existed in the area. At the time of the killing, Arias was an employee at Casa Ramos Mexican restaurant in the city of Eureka. June the 6th. The next day, Arias departs Burns' home just after midnight and heads towards Salt Lake City before reaching Nevada. Along the way, she continues to make more purchases. Transaction reports show that the MasterCard was used 3 times at a Tesoro gas station in Salt Lake City, a Pilot Flying J travel center in Winnemucca, Nevada, and finally at a 7-Eleven in Sparks, Nevada. Travis Alexander has been dead for 2 days. His body has not been found yet. June the 7th. Arriving back in California, Arias has travelled nearly 3,000 miles and returns to the vehicle to the rental agency. The agent would later testify that the car had Kool-Aid stains on the passenger seat and that the floor mats were gone. A month later, Jodi Arias will be arrested for the murder of Travis Alexander. Before we discuss the hearing, sentencing and fate of Jodi Arias, let us take a moment to recognise that the victim, Travis Alexander, was tragically and violently taken from this world too soon. At the time of his death, he had planned to go to Cancun, Mexico for a conference call, which was scheduled for 7 p.m. on June the 4th. It would take until June 9th before he would be discovered by friends after they and fellow work colleagues were unable to reach him. His colleagues eventually went to his home to check if he was okay. Alexander's roommates were still under the impression that he was at the conference. After locating a spare key to his bedroom, they entered to find a massive pool of blood, stretching from the hallway to the master bathroom and ultimately the shower, where his body lay before them. It was then that they made the 911 call to police and discussed the threat from Arias, who Alexander had previously declared was stalking him, hacking his social media accounts and slashing the tyres of his car. His throat had been cut and he had suffered a gunshot wound to the head, as well as being stabbed multiple times. Later, the reports on the amount of stab wounds would vary from 27 to 29. It was concluded that more than 20 were clearly evident on his body. Maricopa County Medical Examiner Dr. Kevin Horn testified that Alexander may have been dead at the time the gunshot was inflicted. A used .25 caliber round was found next to one of the sinks in the master bedroom. A bloody palm print was also located in the bathroom hallway. DNA results proved it to be a mixture of Arias's and Alexander's DNA. Despite the evidence racking up against her, Arias would initially insist that she had last seen Alexander in April 2008. The camera containing the sexually explicit photographs and the crime scene itself was found in the downstairs washing machine, something which Detective Steve Flores would use in his early discussions with the murderer, especially as the images had been deleted from the camera, but later recovered. So, did she do it? The evidence was certainly looking that way. Let us now look at the events that followed her arrest on the 15th of July. Unsurprisingly, Arias decided to go on the offensive with her response, stating 3 different versions of her whereabouts at the time of Alexander's death. She originally told officers that she had not been in the home on the date of the murder, and then claimed that she was indeed at the residence. Only this time, 2 intruders broke into Alexander's home, killing him and attacking her. Eventually, she settled on version 3, that she was a victim of domestic abuse and had killed Alexander herself in self-defense. The murder, arrest and subsequent trial would grip the nation and the world, as Arias was indicted by a grand jury on a first-degree murder charge. She was extradited to Arizona on September the 5th, 2008, where she would plead not guilty on September 11th, 2008. After an extensive trial, including in-depth examinations, evidence gathering and multiple interrogations, Jodi Arias was eventually found guilty of the first-degree murder of Alexander in 2013. However, the jury were unable to unanimously agree on whether she deserved the death penalty. Therefore, a mistrial was declared. A year later, in October 2014, a second jury was elected, which resulted in another stalemate on her punishment. This frustrated the court as well as the family and friends of Alexander, as according to state law, Arias could not be tried again and was consequently sentenced to life in prison without parole. As of today, Arias is serving her life sentence in the Perryville State Women's Prison in Goodyear, Arizona. Public records state that she's being held in a medium-low custody class security wing of the prison. In addition to her sentence, an Arizona judge ordered Arias to pay $32,000 to Alexander's family. Though not uncommon, the absurdity of Arias' current incarceration is that the now 45-year-old has the technology and ability to maintain a website where she sells a variety of paintings and prints that she creates behind bars, one of which is valued as high as $2,500. Having access to Instagram, Arias notes that she receives numerous requests to paint for fans of her work. She claims that she always loved making art from a young age and enjoys selling her work on eBay. Travis Alexander is buried at Riverside's Olivewood Memorial Park Cemetery. This brings us to the close of this episode of The Last 24. We hope that this edition provided an insight into the mindset, calculative planning, and sinister intentions of Jodi Arias, a woman hell-bent on punishing her ex-boyfriend who simply wanted to move on with his life. Until next time, take care, folks.